or recording on the computer. Welcome, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Last week, we closed the call with a little homework assignment. Does anybody remember what that is? Let's see in the comments, or you can unmute and share. What was the homework assignment? And
create a couple words that were your affirmation.
Awesome. And how many of you non-compliers complied? Because I know we have a bunch of non-compliers. That's who we are. We don't comply to mediocrity. We don't comply to basically just letting someone else dictate our life. We want to dictate our own life. So with that being said, how many of you all actually did it? Let's see in the comments. And how about we do this? How about we have somebody share if they actually repeated it every morning and every evening, and what actually happened for you and how do you feel about it?
All right. We actually did it, repeated it every morning and every evening. And since doing that, we actually did it the week before when you suggested it. And there was a guy that we had met online that I had on my attract to the team list. He and his wife joined. They brought somebody else onto the team. And in the meantime, we have somebody else that was on my list of people that are going and moving to Greece in the next 3 months. They're joining our team tonight. So we have been nonstop, and part of my affirmation is we're attracting leaders and people of influence and wealth to our team.
Awesome. Good stuff. Anybody else want to share? Don't everybody like knock each other over and talk over each other? I know it gets a little crazy with all the people trying to volunteer all at one time. All right. So did I tell the fish story last week where you train the fish and how the fish will starve to death? No, I didn't tell that story. All right. So, it's funny. I'm constantly listening to different personal development, especially when I'm spreading dirt on the property, visualizing where the house is going to be. Pads getting higher, by the way, day by day, week by week. Probably added another 1 to 2 feet where the house is going to go in the last couple weeks since we decided, because Ricky kept asking me, when are you going to build? When are you going to build? June is when we're going to start building. So with that, Susan said Jill's tree is pretty. I did the little video where actually like 4 years ago where we challenged a friend of ours to have a tree off. And that year my wife didn't have a pretty tree, but this year she actually did amazing. But with that being said, if you saw my Facebook page, I do a bunch of crazy, silly stuff. It's crazy looking at my daughter being the age that she was and her little spunky attitude. With that, when I'm on the dozer, I will basically go into my personal development area, which is what I have in my, and guys, I probably have, I would say every bit of, I think I have around 75 gigs of personal development that's saved onto my phone. And when I'm on the dozer, when I'm doing things where sometimes when I'm chilling in the boat and making calls or just working and pilling on things and all that, because I have to find things or do things that bring me joy and help me to recharge. And the dirt and visualizing and all that stuff is one of them. But the cool thing about it is I get to actually get multiple things done. One, I'm getting some dirt work done. Two, I'm pouring into my mind. And, listening to the different trainings I have, like another one, I'm doing a lot of because I'm in the process of reprogramming, in the process of revisualizing, in the process of creating another life. Not that the one that we have is bad, but there's a time that you have to step up, who you feel that you are. And, our thermostat will get stuck on certain temperatures, right? And we have to basically shift it. And how do we do that? is through visualization, through emotionalization, like we've been talking about lately. And one of the stories that I heard was about how, it's study after study after study after study about how not only animals get trained, but how people are also trained, right? And how we create this training in who we are. And we're about to have an interactive little session here where I'm going to need some assistance. I'm going to need people to participate and give us, because we're going to talk about the attributes of a successful person. And we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to need some help. But in one of the stories that I heard, and I could act like I made this up, but I didn't. I've just listened to story after story after story after story after story after story. And over the years, a lot of these things have embedded into my brain. And one of them is the story of how they basically did a study with pike. And they put pike in an aquarium. And in the aquarium, they will put a bunch of minnows. And what do pike eat? Pike eat minnows. And what happens is they put a piece of glass in there. And basically the pike would go and charge and do what they do out in the wild and charge at the minnow, but the minnow's on the other side of the glass and the pike couldn't see the glass, and then boom, hit its face. And it does this over and over and over until it realizes that every time I charge the minnow, basically I'm going to experience pain. So what they do in the study is they then remove the glass. And the crazy part is because these pike were trained that every time they go after the minnow, there's pain, the pike will literally starve itself to death even when the glass is removed, because it experiences pain every time it thinks to even go towards that. And guys, the way that the subconscious mind, the conscious mind work, like we can consciously think, but we have certain barriers that are put up. We have a glass in our subconscious that we experience pain, even though there's not pain, even though there's not glass there anymore, even though that we can basically choose to basically change our life. We believe that there's still the glass there. And many of us will starve ourselves or sabotage or do all these things in our lives to basically keep us stuck where we are. And I'm not going to go all deep and crazy into it and all that stuff, because we're going to go into some other things and we're going to do some interaction stuff here. But guys, I did this course called The Foundation. And when I did this course, it was, I forgot what year, but it was thousands and thousands of dollars to be mentored in how to reprogram the subconscious mind. I forgot how much it was, but in this, when I saw this guy first speak, has anybody ever seen the movie The Secret? And well, one of the guys in The Secret, his name is John Assarath. And basically John Assarath, when I met him, I was at an event, and basically everybody in the room gets these spoons. So we all get these spoons, and basically he tells us on how we're going to bend this spoon with our mind. And I'm sitting here going, all right, now we're getting a little wacky tobacco here. It's a little crazy, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, now guys, you actually bend the spoon with your fingers, but it's crazy that the spoon becomes this pliable. It's the craziest thing in the world, because I haven't done it in years, but literally my wife was mad because I was bending up all of our spoons and stuff like that. And I took a spoon from like being this long and twisted it up to where it was like this long, just like, bloop, 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 like nothing, just like, bloop, bloop, bloop. And in that, he was talking about how through our mind and how we can basically change the structure of the metal through our vibration levels. And that's what the movie The Secret is based on, quantum physics. And it is basically things that we can do, and we can literally shift and change things. It's like, has anybody heard about where, you know, the mom's kid is being crushed by a car and this little lady like lifts the car off the kid or whatever? Like how is that even possible? It's possible because that we have the ability to do far more than what we believe is possible. We're only limited to what our belief system tells us it is. So it was really cool. And we're in there, and he had us do this whole process first. And then basically we're all like, and we're like closing our eyes and we're doing this process that he had us go through, and we're holding the spoon. And then he says, you know, and he tells us what it's going to look like prior to, while our eyes are closed and stuff like that. And then we go through this process, and then basically we're all screaming, Ben, 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 Ben. And then he says, now start, you know, bending the spoon like what we, and it was like the craziest thing. And then you could just hear laughter and stuff because you just feel it. It's like 2 fingers. I'm not talking about grabbing the spoon with your hand and like, I'm talking about 2 fingers literally going bloop, 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 and it just spinning down. I think my wife might have thrown, I wonder if I have any of those spoons left, but it was the craziest thing. And I recognize that we're far more powerful than what we believe that we are. And it's our belief systems. It's what we tell ourselves. And that's why it's so important to start changing the thermostat and start telling ourselves a different story. And that's why I wanted you guys to do the affirmations, and I wanted you to basically speak who you are into existence. So now we're going to do this is going to be a joint venture here, which means we need some help. So one, I need some people. I want some people to unmute, and then we're gonna ask you, what are the attributes of a successful person? And then I need a volunteer that could type down what people say. So where this isn't just me talking and you're just looking at the chat. So, because I'm going to go through the chat and we're going to talk about these things. So don't everybody jump out at once. But what we want to talk about are what are some attributes of successful people. And then who's going to be our typer? Do we have a typer?
Consistency.
Consistency. All right. We have Crystal saying she's going to write. So we have consistency. What else do we have?
Solution focused.
Solution focused. All right. What else? What are some attributes?
Confident.
Confident.
Take action.
Take action. We have
Not allowing your emotions to get in the way. Control your emotions.
all right. Control emotions, discipline,
Positive.
patience. All right.
Coachable.
Consistent, coachable. We have belief. All right.
Integrity.
What is that?
Integrity.
Integrity. Okay.
Drive.
Drive. Okay. What are some other attributes?
Goal driven.
Empathy, goal driven,
Optimism.
optimism,
Ability to learn from mistakes.
ability to learn from mistakes.
How many people you can serve.
They listen, how many people you can serve. All right, a couple more, and then we're going to go talk about these things. All right. So let me ask you this. And we'll just start off in the bottom. Do we know anybody that can serve people that are not successful people? Okay. It's just the way that it is. Do we have people that have sympathy that are not successful people? Like, are there some sympathetic people that are not successful? Are there people that make mistakes over and over, but they learn from them, but they're still not successful? Is there people that listen, but then they're still not successful? Do y'all get where I'm coming from here? They might have belief, but not successful. They might be goal driven, but then don't necessarily drive the right direction, right? They have goals, but they're still not successful. Now, I want you to really think about it. Do you know anybody with integrity that still is broke and they're not considered successful? Do you know anybody that can control their emotions, but they're not successful? Or they have vision, but they're not successful? Or, I mean, some people might take action. Does anybody know any hard workers that take action like in life, but they're not successful? Like, I'm watching all these guys, you know, because we had Hurricane Ida over here. And we have all these hard workers that are disciplined. They're here like, you know, because we have discipline on there. And they take action. They're on the roof early in the morning, right? And they're disciplined. They're out there and they work. I mean, Thanksgiving Day, we had roofers on our street. So can we say that they took action? Yes. Can we say that they're disciplined? I mean, yes, they did it. They might be patient. They might be driven. They might be confident about their skills. They might have consistency. I mean, hey, solution focused. I mean, the roof was leaking. It's now not leaking, right? They're fixing it. So I'm sharing this, guys, because we all think that basically, you know, we think that success, like people are born successful or whatever, but can we all agree that the things that everyone just basically went through and wrote down and thank you everyone for participating. Can we all agree that these are all things that can be learned? Like, you know, you cannot be consistent and working with certain people that are consistent and sharing with you like how they created success, because one of the other things was teachable, that they can be teachable and learn consistency, that we can learn how to be disciplined. You know, we can learn how to be driven. Like, guys, I mean, if I want to be real, I'm what I would consider a lazy guy, right? But what I did was, and what I do in life in general is I get things out of the way so I can be lazy. So I will work really hard so where I get to be lazy and do the things I don't want to do. But the thing is that it's the way that I will structure it to create, because at the end of the day, I'm really lazy. Like I could sit and watch, oh gosh, my wife, or no, actually it was Sean McLean told me about Yellowstone, and I'm not a TV watcher. And next thing you know, I freaking binged watched Yellowstone on Thanksgiving Day. And then another day I did it late at night and stuff. And Friday night, like literally on a Friday night, I had friends in my house and I sat in a hot tub by myself while they barbecued and stuff. And we binge watched Yellowstone, like just sad, but I enjoyed it. But the bottom line is I could easily sit there, and that's why I try not to get into shows, because I could literally waste my life with the electronic income reducer and sit there and watch show after show after show. Like, oh my gosh, we watched this sick, demented, weird show called You. I don't know if any of y'all ever saw that. I won't go watch the next season. I haven't started. I hate Shane's smiling like maybe I need to go watch it, but I don't want to go watch it because I'll start watching one after the other. And I'm sitting here going, there's a lot of other productive things I could sit here and figure out to do in my time. Like I have friends of mine right now that like they put me in some of these Facebook groups that are talking about, and this is by no means like they're just talking about what they're investing in online. Not a business, not an opportunity. So let's be very clear, but they're talking about different investments they're making in crypto and all these other things. And it's this, this group that a friend of mine put me in, and I was looking in the background, like of my buddy's page. And the guy has mentored and worked under a lot of people over the years. I've known him for over 20 years. And I noticed like he had 2 Lamborghinis and 2 Teslas in his driveway. And I called him up, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, just all investments, man. He goes, if you want to find out more, go into this, whatever. It's not a business. It's not a whatever. So I wanted to be clear. I wasn't talking about that from that perspective. But my point is that I could have been in that Facebook group sitting there reading about what in the hell all these people are investing on and the things that they're doing. I know we have I know that Ricky's done a lot of investing and he's studying all this stuff. My point is that we all have 24 hours in the day. We all are we all have the same hours in the day. We all have the same ability. We all have, at the end of the day, we all have a computer or a phone. So we all have equal opportunity in this world. Can we all agree with that? But it's a matter of what we do with our time. And all of these things that we're talking about can be learned. They can be taught. And we can shift. But it's all a matter of how we shift our mind. It's a matter of where we spend our time. It's a matter of what we think about. It's a matter of what we focus on. See, I remember in my first company, and by the way, I haven't been a company jumper. I haven't been in 20 different companies. My first company, I still get a check from, and that's now been 22 years. I still get a check from that company. I went to my second company and I was there for 6 years. My third company, 3 years, and basically, or let me see, 2 years in the company. I didn't leave the company left me. And when I left companies, it was never due to the fact that, you know, I wanted to jump from the next company or the next company. But my point is, in life, you know, some people start, they go to college. How many, by a show of hands or in the comments, how many of you all went to school for something that you basically didn't finish? Or you're doing something different? Like you went to school, but then you're doing something totally different. Like that's my point. And it's amazing how, you know, in life that's encouraged. And we always want people to step up. And what's also, I don't want to even talk. I don't want to go off into a rant because then y'all will start thinking all kinds of crazy stuff. But the bottom line is that I basically shifted careers multiple times. I've had success in traditional business because I've learned what I've learned in network marketing. After Hurricane Katrina, I literally went out there and sold over $4 million worth of work by what I learned in direct sales and network marketing. And for the first time, that was my first six-figure year in 2005. I did over 75 with the company I was in. And I remember sharing, and then Katrina happened and wiped out my business. And one, that taught me a lesson of don't put all your eggs in one basket, not talking about companies, but in one city. All of my business was local. And when Katrina happened, my business was gone. And now we have the beautiful side of the internet, so where your business doesn't have to be all in one basket, because we now have people in the team in every city all across the world and all across the country. We have people in all of these different countries: Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Spain, Germany. I can go on and on and on and on and on and on, the UK. And what I learned, and one of my mentors taught me, which I didn't follow, was back in the day, you used to have to mail things. We didn't have the whole internet building when I built my first business. I mean, you can enroll people on the internet, but I wasn't meeting people on the internet. I don't even think at that time I even had a MySpace account, right? Like we didn't even have like MySpace. We didn't have Facebook. There was no building a business the way that, you know, I do attraction marketing and all that other kind of stuff. We didn't have any of that stuff. Like we literally had to, I remember it was make a list and basically contact that list and call the people. Oh my gosh. Can y'all believe I actually said that? I said, call somebody, like where you actually had to dial their number and talk to them versus send them a message. Like that's just wild, isn't it? But that's how we had to build, because we didn't have all the resources. And my mentor back then, yeah, Susan's saying that because Susan rode with me to and from the convention. And while we were on the way home, I was making her, oh, she hated me. And I was like, Megan, I'm like, call somebody else, call somebody. I'm like, we have 10 hours on the road. You might as well use the time. If you're not going to do it when you're with me and we could coach you through it, then when are you going to do it? So thank you for that, Susan. Appreciate you know, her commenting in there and all the different things. But the bottom line is, guys, is that's how we had to build the business. And my mentor taught us, we had a thing called the 10 core commitments. And there were these 10 things done, and I'll probably go over those next week. But one of them was every week, send out a long distance package. Every week, send something to someone out of state. So where your business will grow in other backyards. Well, guys, I did not follow that one core commitment. So what happened when Katrina happened was my business was gone. I'm talking about people displaced, people all over. And the last thing they were thinking about was going out there and talking about our business when, you know, they either lost their house, lost where they were, whatever, flooded and all the crazy stuff that went on. So over the next year and a half to 2 years, I was still prospecting, but it wasn't really like it was. But I used the skills that I learned in this industry and I shifted and I did extremely well. And for the first time in my life, I was walking around with literally, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars in my hand. Like, guys, that was when I realized that 6 figures was not a lot. So we went into I went into construction and guys, I knew nothing about construction, by the way. And I'm talking about this because, guys, success is an attitude. And changing your attitude towards all the things that you all shared in there, right? And basically, you know, changing your thoughts and your attitude towards consistency, changing your attitudes towards being driven, changing your attitudes between goal, you know, getting and all the things that everyone shared and contributed tonight. It's your attitude towards those things that matter. It's the way that you feel about them and you're acting. See, guys, I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I don't believe in you know, lying to people about what your business is doing and all that. I believe there's a way to do it the right way, but you have to fake your confidence before it's there, but not fake like, oh, I'm so successful, I'm the greatest. But tell yourself you're the greatest over and over and over. And what happens is that attribute becomes yours. Does that make sense? When you start to tell yourself and start to basically fake what you've been telling yourself, and somebody says, faith it till you make it. And I agree with that. But basically what I'm talking about is, I remember, in fact, there was a saying that, like, if a network marketer tells you they made ABC, it's normally a quarter of what they said, or they tell you their best month, you know, that they ever made. And I remember when the first month in network marketing, when I made $12,000 that month. And even though that was a lot higher than what I was making consistently, like, I made $12,000. Like, that was my monthly check every single month, like in the beginning, right? Because, oh, I'm gonna fake it till I make it. But yeah, I made 12,000. But if the next month is 7, that's not 12, right? And so I don't believe you have to go spit out numbers and you don't have to go do all those things, but it boils down to your attitude, your energy, and basically your music. The way that people feel when they talk to you. You don't have to fake that if you're happy. Like, are successful people, I mean, you would think they want to be happy. It's an attitude. Happiness is an attitude. Success is an attitude. All of it is an attitude. And last week you heard us talk about, you know, your belief system will create your attitude, and then your attitude will help force your actions, and then your actions in turn create your results. But it starts off, if you are feeling, when it comes to yourself, if you're feeling like just not good enough, then you're not going to take the action that you need to, because you're sitting there second judging and telling yourself all this garbage and stuff that's not true. And you're just feeding your brain all this garbage that's holding you back from creating success. So what I wanted to teach you guys is, by through doing an affirmation, how you can change that thermostat. Now, guys, I can go through this back to John Assarath. I can go through this. If y'all want, I can start going through exactly how the subconscious mind works and stuff like that next week. And we'll do like a little section. If y'all want to start doing that, I'll go over what we basically invested thousands of dollars to go through. I'll share this with you guys, and we can start that next week. But what I wanted to share with you guys is that every single one of you all have been, it's called the Foundation. I don't know if it's even available anymore, but it was the Foundation Self-Study Program. I had DVDs and audio programs that basically go right along with all this stuff. And it teaches about the law of vibration, and how when you're coming from a place of anxiety, and it shows the chart that's in the book, Power versus Force. And it talks about the vibration level of anxiety and fear and all these things, and how when you raise your vibration level, how you attract more people into your lives. But we're not going to go into a whole lot of stuff tonight. What I wanted to go into is just really about what it takes to really, one, decide that you're going to basically do something more with your life and truly create those affirmations and speak them into existence over and over and over, and why that's so important. We told the story about the fish, and how the fish over and over got pain through basically, you're not going to find the book because it's not, this is a self-study course. I know a lot of people are asking what's the name of the book multiple times, but so this is the deal. We all have been conditioned for exactly where we are. And the thing is that when you understand that you're not a victim to your thoughts, you're not a victim to your programming, that you can be a victor to those thoughts, and you can be a victor to your programming, that's when your life can shift. Your life can shift when you make the decision to not say things like, that person made me mad. What do you mean? You can't say that. Listen, no one can make you mad. You have to have an attitude that allows them to, whatever they say, for that to affect you. It's your attitude on the way that they said something to you. Now, are some people, guys, I put my foot in my mouth more than probably anybody on this call. Like, I have zero filter, and I will say some dumb stuff. And I will say some things like, I say some crazy stuff, period. And Susan's sitting there making faces into whatever, because she traveled and heard all the crazy stuff I tell my wife and all this stuff. And she puts up with me. She thinks I'm nuts. But point being is that, guys, you can't, my wife laughs at me and thinks I'm ridiculous. Most of the time when crazy stuff comes out of my mouth, she's like, who's around you? Because she knows I'm going to say something crazy when people are around, because I'm always about getting a rise out of people or getting myself in trouble in some way or another. But the thing is that she chooses to laugh at me. When many of these things that I say, she should slap me, not laugh at me, right? Because I say some dumb stuff. And the thing is that, guys, you can't allow people to affect the way that you feel. Like, oh, this is going to get some people. Imagine somebody comes into your house and it's Christmas, and you got all your Christmas decorations out, and it's nice, and you got a nice little Christmas rug, and they just squat down and start using the bathroom on your floor. And they just whatever they do. They pee on your floor and basically make a big mess on your floor. Would you allow that to happen? Are you going to sit there and say, well, that's not nice, or that really hurt my feelings, or like you're going to kick them or something. You're going to throw their ass out of your house. You're not going to let them sit there and do that. But at the same time, you'll let people pee in your ear. You'll let people pee negativity into your brain, and basically you'll sit there and hear this stuff that they're telling you on how you're not good enough, and you're not this, and you're not that. You can't do this. You can't do that. But basically, you'll sit there and let them tell you all that, but you would never let them pee on your floor. You would never let them come in your house and do that, but you'll let them pee in your ear. And which one's more important? Which one creates more? Which one? That rug, you can replace the rug. You can't replace your brain. And it's funny, like, I don't know if I don't have the resource. I didn't know I was going to talk about this. But guys, and you can do this at your house. This is going to be a home study course. I want you to take a little bit of water and put some water in a glass. And then maybe pour a little bit of Coke or even some tea or anything that's dark into that glass. And just a little bit, like if you've ever messed with food coloring, you could take just a little drop of food coloring and it changes the whole glass of water. Has anybody ever seen that or done that? Well, guys, when you listen to negative crap pouring into your ear, is just like that drop that goes into there. And how much water do you need? How much positive do you have to pour into that glass to get that negative out of the glass? How much water do you have to pour? You have to almost replace the water and start from scratch, because it'll always have some hint of color. Well, guys, that's the way that you've been conditioned and trained. And I'll close the call out with this. Has anybody ever been to the circus? And at the circus, they have all these different animals at the circus, right? And I remember when I was a kid growing up and I'm watching the circus, and they used to have one a few miles away from here. They used to do it in this mall parking lot in the big grass area. And the elephants would come out, and they used elephants, and elephants pull up the big poles with the tent on it and all that. And they're just basically these just so massive, strong animals, right? And they erect everything. And the elephants work and do all this stuff, and they do it with ease. They literally grab the rope with their freaking and just pull the rope with their tusk. And they're just so powerful. But then what blew me away and what I didn't understand is how, like, after they built everything, after they pulled all these ropes and put up the tents, that the elephants are standing there and they're swaying back and forth. Has anybody ever been to the circus and you see them just kind of standing in one spot because they have a little string tied onto their ankle? And the crazy part is that this little tiny string that's tied to their ankle is in the ground with looks like a pin, a little stake, little tiny stake that they tie them up with a little tiny string smaller than this pin. And the elephant is standing there. And the crazy thing is that even like there's been circus fires and stuff, and the elephants will end up burning in the fire because they won't pull the stake out of the ground. Because when they were a baby, they put these big old shackles on their legs. So how they train an elephant is they put a big old shackle that will not come off no matter what, and with a big old chain. And they hook it to either a huge tree or something that it's impossible for them to pull down. And what happens is that elephant will pull, and it'll pull, and it'll pull, and it realizes that it cannot pull the tree down, that it can't pull the tree down. So then what they do is they put a smaller one on, and a smaller, and a smaller, and the next thing you know, they're being held with this little twig in the ground and a little tiny string. And that string, they're anchored and they're not going anywhere. And you wonder, why is the elephant just staying there? Because they've been conditioned to basically stay there. Just like you've been conditioned to believe what it is that you believe, your limitations, your lacks, the things that you've been told that you can't do. What chains are holding you back? What chains that you believe are chains that are really string? When you recognize that you can pull the stake out, that you can basically plant something else there, and that you can control your life, and that no one can make you feel a certain way. No one can reject you. It's all an illusion. It doesn't even exist. The bottom line is it's not even real. It's all based on your perception. Just like that little stake in the ground and that little string is not real in terms of holding the elephant back. What's holding you back from creating your greatness? What's holding you back from saying your affirmation every day over and over and over? Because we have, close to 100 people on the call. Everybody got the same exercise. And we only had few people going, I did, or a few people, say I did it. And this is what happened for me. What's holding you back? What story do you believe? What is it that basically you've allowed to basically keep you from creating the greatness in your life? Hope you guys got value tonight. Love you all. Appreciate you. Everybody have a rocking night. Take care, guys. This concludes Mindset Monday.
Thank you.
Good night,
you so much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Chris.
Good night. Good night.